check RV. I wonder if YouTube is something crashed here, as you can see, hopefully, maybe. By the way, do we have microphone? Microphone is check 1, 2, 3. And what crashed here? It crashed, OBS crashed. So much to that. I wonder if this is now a second stream. It is possible that we get a second stream for this. Then we have 2 streams for that. So then this is part 2. Welcome everyone again. And pity, I wonder if YouTube has a feature to concatenate this though. But maybe they are indeed clever enough to concatenate this if we are lucky. Anyway, we are also nearing to an end here. For the Musl stuff, I'm still not 100% done. By the way, by default, we are using a shared object wrapper to track all the file access, the modified files for packages that are installed. And this is how we automatically generate all the packages in the files in the package, and also what files, what headers, what dependencies they required to compile and generate automatically the dependencies for packages. And when I tried this some years ago, like 2 years ago or so with Musl, this was not working. And I'm surprised that in the meantime this works, because this is an LD preload library. And I was actually, if I would had to debug Musl, what is crashing there in the LD shared object, LD preload library stuff. And yes, this is a little bit vintage, this wrapper stuff, but it works. And in the meantime, I'm not even sure if in the meantime, because this wrapper stuff we used for 20 years, I guess, approximately. And in former times, we used a simple timestamp with find in Rock Linux times like 1998. And then eventually we used strace, but strace was, I think, slightly fragile and quite slow. And this LD preload library stuff works 99% of the time without any problem and is much faster than strace. I wonder in the meantime if we could use some other container technology to track this, but maybe this container stuff like secure comp, or I don't know, maybe this would not work for this, because we want to track and not forbid or limit. So not really sure if that would work, but maybe something we can investigate another day. And so what you see here is that we have really many changes, fixed, quirked. This is not always fixed, because sometimes this is also disabling something. For example, BetterFS required disabling support for backtrace via a normal package like BetterFS, and I think BetterFS was the only package of this minimal we have here. As you see, minimal Xorg I built with a minimal Xorg system. And of all this Xorg, Xserver and everything, of all this 200 something packages, how many do we have? 460 actually. Need to check, by the way, that's a little bit much. But from all these 460 packages, including Xorg, Mesa, LLVM and whatnot, the only package that required backtrace, which is most likely some, we can also look this up, backtrace, some function to generate backtraces. It's not even documented, thank you very much. I think it was backtrace in user include. I still have this thing running there. Only it's, so now it's done. So we have exec info here is, and this You see it's not even, it doesn't have a man page. I did not, maybe I saw it, but when I saw it somewhere, like in, where did I see backtrace support? Maybe in IMAX or something else. Maybe like Lisp or so, like eLisp or so. It would not have come to my mind that this is a gilibc feature, but as you see it is. And we can grab here, by the way, T2 administration files are regular plaintext files in var adm. So we can simply grab for exec info in var adm flist. And we of course see that this comes from glibc. And why a normal in quotes package like betterfs tools needs support to print a backtrace is beyond me. And why it does not simply disable it if it doesn't find it, because it has support for this. Did I commit this already? I guess I committed it. Normally I would expect a package like this to disable it, but somehow it errored out, which with backtrace not available. svn log. And you see this is stupid subversion is not showing this with not up-to-date tree revision. So here you see fixed betterfs disable backtrace for Musl, and fixed there was also, I noticed a typo with disable documentation. This kind of, you spot some stray bugs while you review other stuff, and this is just in the configuration. So because it's not automatically disabling this, it's just erroring out. So we need if Musl then extra conf opt disable backtrace, why the package is not doing this by default and why it needs fancy backtrace support, whatever. But there you see the pain of keeping all the stuff building, and you see from this error list that it's not even all building. So I spent over 4 hours on this, and you see PPP, there is some header missing, NFS utils this is some RPC stuff, and some PS-misc is also gross. There's some, no, PS-misc I fixed actually. This is just the first bootstrap stuff. Squash.fs was also some fancy feature. In the log files are here in build. And again, this is only when you compile this as a normal user of T2, you do not necessarily need to see this. And here you see this is, this needs some fancy globbing. I think this is match in, I think this is probably for glob, for file name globbing, wildcards. There are some feature, so yeah, some detail not implemented, so not sure what I should do with this, maybe over 4 hours. And still, obviously not everything fixed, the big things, some maybe KBD we could maybe fix easily. Let's see, what was that? Stuff and details. And the next time I will probably do for this, I have, by the way, created a second channel. You see this in the featured channel. Here can probably open this in the featured channel list here. And I will probably live stream sometimes a little bit more random stuff here in this more live with René Rebe. You can subscribe this already, so that the main channel I do not unsubscribe people with irritating with random content. Let's see what KBD, what was this not? Hello, why do we not have logs? Some console terminal irritation thing. Here you see another UChar. Maybe we can quickly patch this live, job 5 KBD. Not that this is the most important package, but certainly nice to have. Can already change into this to prepare debugging this. So now it failed, then run this. You see this stupid GNU type that nobody should use, fix file. And if you have a source package, just don't use it. There is completely new reason to use such strange types. Simply use standard types, then you don't have any problems. Define GNU source, maybe like, oops. But wait a second, did something disappear, or maybe this uchar is not even, let's see, do we have uchar? Maybe this is such a strange type that we don't even have it at all. Oh no, it is in this types. Let's take a look again. Do we include this types? No, we don't include this types. Then let's include this types also. And again, the more standard stuff you use, I know we have load keys, the same, so we can, yeah, no, fix file. Again, we could do this with T2 wrappers, but to only do this with Musl, it is slightly cleaner, easier to maybe patch it, also send it upstream. And by the way, after, this was J, right? Or now after doing all the patches, sending this upstream would take another 4 hours or so. Looking up all this, I could also maybe do it here, define GNU source and include this types. And you're just sending all the stuff upstream. Implicit declaration of open, because why should people include all the headers for stuff like this? And this is because glibc, they cleaned up glibc over the time already. So in the past, it even happened that with the glibc update, you had to do all these changes. And this is exactly what they also clean up in glibc to also improve compile time, including less headers that you don't need and stuff like this. And it is best to always include everything you need, obviously, otherwise one day stuff will break. I, by the way, have already cleaned up exact image from us. There were some small frame drops. Bitmapper says he has been having fun trying to compile Emacs on IRIX. Yeah, Emacs is even sometimes fun compiling on Linux. I had the problem that some versions of Emacs were even segmentation faulting on T2 due to random memory corruption of things only accidentally working and the glibc configuration is configured and compiled on Fedora or something. So for a year or two I couldn't get Emacs to work without crashing. Live streaming to you on YouTube. Okay, it could be, where is this in? Oh, wait a second, what did I, maybe I actually typed the wrong here. I typed my standard type fix. So what have we missing here? So which of those? None of those were there, maybe. Yeah, this is a day of a distribution maintainer. Hey, I know it compiled. So, and then we have a fix file helper. That is because fix file diff is making a copy of the file before calling editor. And then we have here hotfixes patch Musl. I have code to only apply patches named Musl when we compile this Musl. And this was KBD, and then Musl, and then we, hello, what is this, why? I had this already earlier that, you see how much uncommitted stuff is there, as I always say. Somehow this was not, Why does this not... No, it's there. Why was it not there the first time? Strange. Anyway, let's test compile it. Here's a boring day of someone who's maintaining and running a whole Linux distribution. And this is also what I make these videos for. And in retrospect, had I known, and you see now it finished, then we can commit this. We have a commit helper for this. I could just call subversion commit, but this thing is doing some formatting and text generating, and also copyright injection, like making this copyrights there, hot fixed KVA for Musl. And you see this copyright stuff. We have a create copyright patch, and this scripts commit is also adding this copyright patch there, because we obviously have this GPL copyright there. Reference writes divin v, and yeah, had I known that YouTube becomes such a thing, I should have already done such videos for a decade or two. Although maybe 2 decades ago YouTube didn't exist, but you get the point. Now I need to catch up with all the subscriber and content goodness. And Bitmapper writes, if you want to get started with RX, I recommend an O2. Yeah, I unfortunately don't have one, but I can see the O2 is smaller and maybe less loud. The Octane is really loud. And by the way, in the other, who was it? Someone proposed a V Pro to try to find one for my Linux graphic driver stuff, because somehow for one of the videos YouTube did not archive the chat for some strange reason. Video output is low. Maybe now we get here some 1400 dropped frames, 4.3%. And do you have vPros lying around, or that is a good deal on a VC 400 megahertz one. Canada. Maybe I will be in Canada in 2 months time or so, in I think Toronto. And yeah, V6 is a higher end graphic of you Bitmapper writes lower end vPro, but higher end graphic of Octane. The entry level graphic was Impact, and the higher end graphic was vPro, the later models. The Impact are more normal, in quotes, graphics. The vPro run OpenGL on a chip, meaning they implement a complete OpenGL parser kind of and state machine kind of logic, pipeline logic stuff. So the vPro receive graphic commands that are kind of direct OpenGL, and they have like microcontroller ASICs that do OpenGL completely in hardware. And yeah, the higher end vPro, so there were like V6, V8 and V12, or maybe even V10 probably. And yeah, the higher the number, the higher the performance, obviously. And yeah, I need to check the gentleman from the subscriber from the Netherlands. It would be awesome. I would even swap an Octane with him if he likes to, because for the Linux work, I think many people have an Octane and they're not using it. And because many people don't use it and have it in the basement or attic, and given that I use it a little bit more, it would be really nice to have a dual 400 megahertz Octane. Not sure if he has an vPro or an Impact, but I think I have the nearly fastest last dual raster and dual texture module high impact in the second Octane that I got. That is quite nice. That would be surprising to me, but interesting to know. And yeah, so this concludes the live stream for the most part. You see here I have this running. One thing I need to investigate right now, some symlinks are missing here in the lib64 folder. So for most part, this is I installed this. So this system is booted with GRUB2, and installed. It has, as usual, some partly imperfect, not fully polished things. So you need to be a little bit of an expert to actually install and use it. But nonetheless, maybe I will publish it, because it might be another month until I polish this more. So maybe I publish this just to have a reference GRUB to rescue ISO and first proof of concept you can install if you know how to work around some shortcomings, like booting this init equals bin bash and setting a symlink or so. And XGI bitmapper writes XSGI doesn't support Xrender. Yeah, Xrender is too new, I think. Xrender for 2D alpha blitting, transparency blitting stuff came later, I guess. But I would think the XSGI would normally accelerate all the solid lines and solid rectangles, or not, I would expect, at least under normal circumstances. So what you see here, so some, maybe even FS check here, so you see some programs don't load because the what LDD cannot, what LDD, by the way, LDD is also a symlink to the C library, so they recycle their C library for the dynamic loader and for this LDD, which prints out the dynamic libraries. Bin bash, not bin bash, nonsense, LDD. So you see LDD is also a symlink to LD Musl. I hope it's on camera, I hope. And so this is a symlink, but I think this is also a symlink on glibc, maybe. Let's see here. I hope this is on camera. So the video capture is slightly cropped, I think, from the... Or is it not? I thought so. Maybe. Anyway, because I downscale here the higher resolution, high DPI screen on the surface. And so on glibc, this is, oh no, it isn't, but it is a wrapper, I think. I think this is a shell script. Yeah, you see this is a shell script and calling maybe the dynamic loader also, so yeah. But slightly interesting. So somehow, for some reason, the mid version symlinks here are missing in the library folder. And I need to investigate why. So you see, even after this many hours getting everything to work, stuff is still not working. So, but this is not what I wanted. Ext or so, block. So we have no symlink here. And when we look into the build, so something was not tracked or archived, and maybe an issue with our before mentioned shared library wrapper preload file read write tracker, maybe. Come on, what did I Musl here? And this would be lib64 ext. So you see our live stream analyzing this and implementing wildcard support for the dynamic loader, and I can also initiate here the virtual machine thing with this ISO. This is QEMU system CD-ROM, you name it, and enable KVM obviously for maximum performance. And this is the first ever GRUB 2, actually, well, not first ever. And this also, as I said, this took also 4 hours alone to get this working and documented, and now T2 is a nice reference for when you want low level, do this yourself. And this is now the Musl system. The Musl, we optimize this another day and live stream. And yeah, bitmapper says the same, what I just showed regarding LDD. So I hope you enjoyed it for the most part, and I wanted to make a nicely edited video, but I run out of time, and then for me it was easier. Well, it also took an hour to live stream this, but chatting with you is also interesting. And if I would have recorded this, it would also been an hour or two of editing and cutting the video and things like this. So it probably was easier and a nice chat with you. And again, we will not only live stream, we will also get back to edited videos for this. And yeah, the next time probably all the details from the beginning. Had I known that I spent 4 hours for Musl and 4 hours for GRUB, I would have live streamed this in the entirety. But often I start things and I think I sit here 1 hour, in 1 hour I do GRUB 2 support, and then it doesn't work, and then all the Google stuff is not yielding anything useful, and then you start to read the source, you cross compare, you debug, and then easily 4 hours are gone. And again, I repeat myself, this is what we do the live stream for the documentation and the means of financing, because I said this already, so the long-term plan, I can say it again, so I want to, obviously, if it's not obvious by now, I want to create here an outstanding tech channel, and these are of course the humble beginnings. We already invested quite a bit in live streaming equipment, all the HDMI capture stuff, just that I traveled only with one HDMI capture and not with the other one, and this HDMI capture is a proprietary binary only driver one that I still need to get working. And by the way, this Musl stuff I also did because I thought maybe it's nice to run on this Atom Sony Vario P that is quite successful and well running video of mine, and on this small 32-bit low performance, low memory Atoms. It's certainly nice to have a small Musl library, and in general for all the people using this for embedded systems on ARM and MIPS and the Octane or the P3, it can never hurt to have alternative C library support. And regards to this channel, so the plan is really to grow here some really hopefully outstanding various topics, product reviews with Linux and open source review touch to developing software, fixing open source, and to support open source. As I said earlier, now I spend 4 hours on Musl and 4 hours on GRUB, although GRUB was partially wasted on probably miscompiled by an older GCC. But all the Musl stuff we can now theoretically go forward and send in upstream all these Musl fixes after maybe reviewing them here. And by the way, if you want to have something to do and want to earn some open source fame, you could even do this and take this T2 patches. You see they are all named Musl, usually hotfix, sometimes something else, and you are welcome to send them upstream because I will probably simply not have time for this. This is why T2 is full with patches like this, also for diet-libc certainly even more, because diet-libc, not only did we support this since maybe 15 years, but also diet-libc is even less feature rich, so we have even accumulated more stuff for that. And nice to hear that Bitmapper found it interesting. You're all welcome. I hope more people learn something. We also have more graphic stuff coming, not only the continuation of the PS3 RSX. I have also one vintage ISA card, hopefully on the way to me, and I'm also still trying to source in 3D FX Voodoo card. The problem is I don't want to spend over $100 or euro, so I could have long purchased one on eBay, but $100 to $150 are a little bit too much for making a video or two, so I ideally would want one for not too much more than 50 euro, if preferably so. And then because I also wanted to, I never had a 3DFX Voodoo, and I wanted to have the 3D Verge example ported to the 3DFX Voodoo. and it is actually surprisingly similar. I was surprised. I found already register level specifications for this. If you Google for this, you find this on the internet, and it's surprisingly similar. So I hope in a weekend's time or so, and maybe we live stream this also, I think it is possible to have this DOS bare metal low level cube spinning 3D demonstration, again bare metal low level register level, working on the 3DFX Voodoo. And then in the long term, of course, not every day and every week. This is why I vary the topics intentionally. So every second day will be something else, sometimes a product review, sometimes some Unix hacking, sometimes some open source programming, and so on. So for everyone to have some changing topics, for everyone to learn something. And then I also plan to expand this 3D stuff, and as I said already before, also bare metal without DOS, because right now we are loading this in DOS, but this is not necessary. We can even load this from GRUB and have a miniature mini operating system kind of shim running without DOS. We are not using much of DOS, and we will also do this then later this year. And I said in the other long live stream regarding microkernel, we can also do then microkernel kind of stuff either many months into this year or next year or whenever. So these are all the stuff that will be coming. And when you take a look how big GRUB is, GRUB has code for so many things, and I also wonder if not I can have this scrolling by here, but this is all stuff we can also find name star.c. And when you look how much code for how many drivers and everything, this is even drivers for serial and whatnot, and the operating system needs to have this again. The operating system also wants to have EFI support for a simple frame buffer, and here are even drivers for USB serial, network drivers, crypto. Here's even libgcrypt for Luke's for whole disk encryption. And I wonder if it is not possible, and I wonder this already a very long time, because right now we write even file systems. You have, all the X2, 3, 4, JFS, XFS, BetterFS, you name it, all of it is implemented here in a relatively complete fashion. And I wonder if it is not possible to share with, ideally, I think it would be really awesome to have a nicely sorted microkernel kind of thing where you have modules where you can reuse your file system modules for booting, like directly loading your microkernel thing with some modules and run the same file system and USB, PCI access and EFI graphic stuff that you would use in a bootloader and completely skip the bootloader. Even there are people who skip the bootloader with Linux BIOS. And if you would do the same with some nice microkernel, as I said in the other video, even with a hypervisor, you could save so much code not to have everything duplicated in GRUB, because when you take a look here, GRUB is unpacked. Are they kidding me? 46 megabyte unpacked source. Let me replicate this. This is crazy. Let's set standard decompress here our download, mirror GRUB 2, and then pipe this to tar and this, and then let's see, disk usage 46 megabyte source code. Are you completely freaking kidding me? Unbelievable. And the Linux kernel is, by the way, how much is Linux kernel? The Linux kernel is certainly hundreds. I have not recently done this, so I have completely no idea how big this will be. If we unpack here 4 point, come on. Surface keyboard is killing me today. Surface keyboard and secure shell like this streaming a video. And maybe we should not verbose scroll it on a connection where we live stream also. And you see here, this is for sure more huge. So now 600. No, it's still unpacking. So unpacking the Linux kernel gives you nearly a terabyte of, not terabyte, gigabyte, nearly 1 gigabyte of source unpacking the Linux kernel. This is of course reaching hilarious dimensions, also because they have to pack each nonsense in the Linux kernel in the meantime. I've seen another day on Phoronix, let me check what was that. That was, they wanted to add something that I thought was not really necessary in the Linux kernel. That was, okay, more adds than everything else. That was, what could it been? There was something adding to the Linux kernel where I really thought this is, was it some crypto, some... this was a console font. This was actually a high DPI console font where I was thinking normally the Phoronix people are celebrating removing each feature and removing frame buffer support. And high DPI, I think it was. Releases better. Yeah, here Linux 4.21 picking up new console font for high DPI Retina screens. And normally Michael is celebrating, Michael Larabelle is celebrating each removal of everything, and then he is happy about the new console font, especially as he wants all the frame buffer stuff removed and celebrates removal of everything. And then he celebrates here a new console font when normally he wants frame buffer removed, and also, which by the way I don't see happen soon because all the embedded stuff is using frame buffer, and I don't really see frame buffer going anywhere in a decade or so. And normally even I would not want this in the kernel. Of course I have a Terminus huge console font for high DPI Retina screens, but I load them in the user space, of course, after booting Linux. So I have no idea why you would want this in the kernel, because I certainly load this here in etc conf either hardware or kernel. That's somewhere. I loaded with load. Here I loaded with set font. I don't know why you need, and this is getting too much for me. It really needs to stop adding complete nonsense to the Linux kernel. You really don't need to, especially if 99.99%, I'm for sure one of the very few people even using the text console. You have seen me on other videos like the PS3 or the Octane. Most normal people never use the text console, and those who do certainly can set font their console font, but your mileage may vary. Maybe you need a high DPI console font. I certainly don't. And yeah, these are this kind of things I want to explore in the long term. Stanley Kubrick writes something in Russian that I can't read. I can wish to, so I would need to paste this into, I need to improve my Cyrillic reading skills another day. So yeah, a lot of ideas. And he writes, it is nice to watch the video, and it is said that there are not so many subscribers. Thank you very much. I need to improve my Cyrillic, Stanley. My Cyrillic should be better in the meantime, but I need to work on it. And yeah, I'm quite happy with the subscribers. Of course, it could be always more, but 2,600 something is already a great start. And I'm hoping in this year we improve this a lot. And one other idea, so these are the ideas for the stream. I said some already the other live stream. And one last thing is maybe I will make a weekend live stream, because I have a plan to publish a video every second day, and usually this will be also a product review or programming or product review and things like this. And I was thinking maybe I make a reoccurring weekly live stream on the every second day on a Saturday or Sunday of a weekly open source show, discussing, like I discussed a second ago, this adding high DPI Retina console font to the Linux kernel, discussing the weekly open source and IT developments like latest Intel security vulnerabilities or whatsoever, or NVIDIA non-open source binary only driver junk and things like this. And by the way, there is a new AMD Radeon 7 or so, open source friendly, high performance GPU released yesterday, I think, and maybe something we take a look another day, because as you have seen in my other videos, coming from mostly Macs, MacBooks, Mac Minis and such, the last decades of professional end user Mac development, we had too many Macs, and due to this too little components to work with, and we of course always had server builds, but the server builds usually didn't have GPUs. So as you have seen in the other videos, I do not have many modern GPUs except the one, the ePCI PCI Express in the G5 and Mac Pro, which also are already a decade old. So maybe time to buy an AMD Radeon 7 or what they are called, the new ones from yesterday, and review them and make videos with this. And with this, I think it is time to call it a night or day. Thank you all for watching and chatting. I think we will make it recurring on weekends and more scheduled programmed video on weekdays. I hope you enjoy this schedule and stuff we are working on. And of course, this does not only improve T2, but also builds a nice library of patches and configuration metadata, this shell scripting language of stuff you need to pass into configure scripts to compile LVM or whatsoever with stuff like Musl or ditlibc or uselibc, you name it. And yeah, more ARM stuff coming. For sure, Raspberry Pi, maybe the 3.0, whatever, and also RISC-V. You have probably already seen. By the way, do we live stream or did I hope my OBS didn't crash though. And you have maybe spotted, what is wrong with my typing? Maybe I'm hungry, and by the way, I have coffee here. I have here already started RISC-V support, also similar to this Musl. This includes adding new patches and packages and stuff and configuration. So in architecture RISC-V, we already started with this, and this is not yet fully working, to some degree compiling, but I don't have a RISC-V silicon already anyway. And that is a story for sure for another day, because this live stream is long enough. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it, learned something, and I hope to see you soon for other programmed, scheduled videos and live streams to come.